Hey there, Goblin Army. This is the Goblin King. It's Friday, and I'm doing this as I'm watching Friday Night Tights. Hail to the Fellowship. I think this video might be a bit shorter than normal. I'm not reacting to any sort of article, though I suppose that I could find one really quickly and throw that up there. Although I really don't want to give any news sites that would praise the tripe I'm about to talk about any sort of traffic either. Maybe I'll take Ryan Kennel's tactic and just show you some screen grabs after a Google search. So, I guess a couple of days ago, Showtime dropped a trailer onto YouTube for their new docu-series called Everything's Gonna Be All White. Ugh. Even that name is fucking cringe as fuck. As you can plainly see, we have all the usual suspects coming out in support of this garbage. The Washington Post coming out saying, "Yeah, this is what you want to watch, guys. A bunch of privileged rich assholes telling you how terrible you are based purely on your skin color. Isn't that nice? Don't you want to consume that garbage juice?" Of course, that shit-stained hepatitis rag the Hollywood Reporter. Oh, and not to be outdone, there's the fucking LA Times. Like I said, the usual fucking suspects. Right there. Right at the top of the fucking shit pile. So, the series is created by this guy, Sasha Jenkins. So I did a search for this fuckstick earlier, and the moment I saw the guy, all I could think was, what the fuck happened to his face? For real, I feel like if I look closely enough, I'm gonna see a little American flag and a couple of pairs of boot prints next to a tiny little lunar lander on that motherfucker. Mommy, mommy, look, it's the man in the moon. No, baby, that's not the moon. That's just Sasha Jenkins' face, and it's rude to point. According to his wiki article, not that you can necessarily trust anything on Wikipedia these days, but it says here that he started out his career in '88 with a magazine dedicated to graffiti. Okay, that's pretty cool, I suppose. There's some graffiti out there that actually qualifies as art, to be honest. I have no problem with that. Apparently, he's worked on other artsy stuff, has a band, wrote some books. Here's what I really want to get into with this dude, though. Check out his childhood. So, his dad's a professor, directed a film called Cane River, got all sorts of awards for his contributions to things like Sesame Street. His mom's an artist who's had work shown in New York art galleries. Dude, this guy most likely wasn't poor. I guarantee this dude did not grow up in some project. This motherfucker has most likely been surrounded by the literati, the glitterati, and the rich snobs of New York his entire life. Now, I could be wrong about that, but is it likely? Or is it more likely this dude grew up hella privileged? I bet his daddy bought him his first car. Now, to be clear, I'm not remotely saying this guy hasn't encountered some form of racism. Not at all. My simple statement is, just looking at his parents and what they did, it's highly likely he had a relatively privileged life compared to most people. Alright, enough ragging on this chode. Let's get to the real meat of this video, which is the Chode's racist-ass television series. Wow. It actually took me a few attempts to get that out. So it started with this trailer here, right? Truly the greatest thing about this trailer is this very yummy ratio. Also, since Showtime dropped the first episode on YouTube, with comments preemptively turned off by the way, here's the tasty ratio for that one. This is the thing that truly gives me hope right here. Now, I'd have taken you through some of the more entertaining comments on the thing the way Ryan and them did, but I didn't get to this till after they turned them off. Though that should be a big-ass clue as to what kinds of comments this piece of racist trash was getting. Actually, what I think I'll do is just give you some screenshots from Ryan's video here. I'm truly sorry about the quality. I'd have screenshotted them from the video itself, but like I said, you know. These people are racist fucking cowards, and couldn't stand to see that normal people, regular folk, didn't like this shit and called it out for what it is. Blatant, in-your-face fucking racism. Here, just in case there are some of you out there that haven't seen this pile of trash for yourselves, I'll play a few clips for you.
Most about white people is when they pretend like they're the victim. What's also annoying is when they kill us.
Okay, so first off, white people kill you? What white people? Crime statistics from the FBI clearly state that the vast majority of black people are killed by black people. Now, this isn't a dig against black people, not at all. This is a statistic which rings true through every racial demographic. Most white people are killed by white people, Most Asians by Asians, etc., etc. My theory is that it mostly has to do with accessibility. I mean, most murders are done in the heat of the moment amongst friends and family groups, for instance. Though I imagine that in the coming years this statistic may change due to more intermixing among racial groups, particularly in Western nations. That's just my thought though, and holds no real bearing on the current argument. So yeah, until you can answer to those current crime statistics, keep your racist ass mouth shut.
Should white people today feel any responsibility for slavery?
Hell yeah.
Ryan Kinnell actually made a good point here about how a majority of families who are considered white in current times actually immigrated here well after the Civil War, into the 1930s. It was that late 19th, early 20th century time period where a lot of Polish people, Italians, Irish, Scots, Welsh, etc. were immigrating to the country. Most Americans today are descended from those immigrants, who literally had nothing to do with the American slave trade. Also, if you're going to be holding people responsible, why not hold the people of North and West Africa responsible as well? See, too many people don't understand history. These uneducated dipshits legitimately have this picture of the big evil white men going into the innocent pastoral black man's lands where they were all busy living in hippie huts and communing with the Earth Mother and knocking the innocent pastoral black man over the head and kidnapping him and selling him into slavery. That's literally not how that happened. At all. Africa back then, like much of the world, had a lot of empires, kingdoms, states, and smaller tribes. Those bigger empires and kingdoms did exactly what bigger empires and kingdoms have done throughout the world and history. They conquered, exploited, or both, these smaller, weaker groups. Then, because these bigger empires and kingdoms had burgeoning slave trades, they'd take the fittest individuals that either hadn't been killed or had been given in tribute and sold them as slaves. Later on, when Europe started exploring around, they got into the trade as well because it was lucrative, and rich landowners, especially back then, were fucking lazy and cheap and didn't want to pay for labor, and they couldn't put their hands on enough debtors to turn into indentured servants, because that was very much a thing. Oh, another tidbit that these people like to forget? Not all slave owners in the US were white. Majority? Sure, I'll give you that. All? Nah. Hell, the Cherokee people were big old slave owners. But we don't talk about that, huh? Also, since I know for a fact that my family didn't come to the US until well after the Civil War, your uneducated racist ass can fuck off. I have absolutely no responsibility for your ancestors' enslavement.
The truth has to be told about history.
The truth, huh? What's the truth? Because look at what I just stated a minute ago. Does your truth include any of that information, or is it all racist propaganda that paints one group of people as the bad guy? History isn't black and white, either figuratively or literally.
About obliterating systemic and institutionalized racism.
Okay, I will agree that there are black kids growing up today that still suffer under the consequences of past racist practices and laws in this country. Absolutely, I'll agree with you on that. Do I believe that the current laws and institutions themselves are racist? No, for two very simple reasons. The Civil Rights Acts of 1964 and 1968, which made it illegal to outright discriminate based on skin color, gender, or any other transitory characteristic. No company or government institution existing in this day and age, in its right mind, wants to get hit with a civil rights lawsuit. Not only would they get hit in the pocketbook, and the individual or individuals involved could go to jail. I believe, I'm not sure on that. And the PR is a fucking nightmare. People, rightfully so, get angry as fuck when they catch a whiff of that kind of thing, and up until relatively recently, most people would have automatically sided with the aggrieved party. However, as I said, I do believe fully that there are problems existing today which do very much stem from past practices. Now, they've become more of a class issue, but I do believe these problems exist. Problems stemming from things such as redlining and blockbusting, for instance. However, I legitimately want to ask, how is this helping? What is this doing but further dividing people and creating a bunch of racism where there wasn't much, if any, before? I genuinely want to know how this literal racism helps fight racism. How does being racist against and vilifying an entire group of people based solely on their skin color, the literal definition of racism, help the problems that still exist? Please tell me that.
I know Harriet and Frederick be up there just like, what is they gonna do?
If you're talking about Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, yeah, I really don't think that conversation would go where you imagine it would. Oh, and if you'd like a black perspective on this piece of trash, here's a bunch of black creators reacting to it. There was legit a whole list, just by typing in the name of the show. You can actually see some of their thoughts just in the snippets of their descriptions that are visible. Gothic's video was very good, as always. I was going to steal some clips from her vid, but I feel like this thing is already running over long. Guess I was wrong about this being short, huh? So, as you can see, especially from the beginning of this vid, that nobody wants this. Nobody except rich fucks who already have it easy and good that want to try to tell you what you should think and how you should live. Again, just think about the guy who created this thing. I'm not saying definitively that he was well off growing up because I don't know. I'm not saying he's had an easy life because I don't know. However, just looking at the info I have, I feel it's a pretty safe bet. Don't take my word for it. Check out Ryan's video where he goes over the comments. A few other creators have reacted to this as well. Check out Gothic's video, Officer Tatum's. Any of these other creators I showed off. Make up your own minds. Also, my apologies for this coming out late. Friday Night Tights distracted me with its shiny colors, and by the time I got around to putting this together, it was late as fuck. So, again, my bad, and I apologize for that. That being said, go ahead and give me your thoughts in that handy section down below. While you're down there, join the Goblin Horde by crushing those pesky like and subscribe buttons. I'll see you all on Monday for another video. Lates.